Excuse me, I'm next in line. Move. Excuse me, I'm next in line. Watch out. Excuse me, I'm next in line. I said move. Excuse me, I'm next in line.
Alright, welcome folks to another episode of Will's Review. I'm your host, Will D. And as mentioned the past few weeks, there is no sports going on. The pay-per-view for WWE isn't until next week, so you won't be hearing me talk about it until 2 weeks from now. So instead, we will start tonight's show with a What Irks Me. Because amongst this COVID crisis, MTA has the nerve to reduce service and yet tell people, wait for the next train. That math don't add up, bruv. Just don't add up. At the same time, they want us to create space to not spread any viruses, any germs, any things of that nature. They, with reduced service, you would figure that we would get actual, clean trains and things like that. And now more than ever, despite the fact that they hired, 20,000 new police officers, and because of this, or in relation to this, we also will be seeing MTA increases, and it's definitely going to happen now that they lost a bunch of money. 20,000 new officers to protect the trains. Why the hell is it that every morning on my way to work, because I'm an essential employee, is there a bum taking up 6 seats on the train? All right? And now where are the cops? 20,000 new cops. That sounds like you can at least put 2 at every station and then some, right? For every shift. And at the same time, I don't live at a stop in the middle of the train service. I live at a last stop or first stop, if you will, in some cases. I live in the first 5 stops. I walked onto a train last Tuesday morning, and I posted a picture of this actually on the XY101 Instagram, because sometimes when I want to talk crap, I especially when it's about crap, I like to do it on that particular page. And legitimately, I walk onto a train. We got 2 homeless people sitting across from each other, taking up 12 seats altogether, right? And to the right, you have a lump of crap, at least 6 inches long and thick, like an Arizona can, right? With the urine also dripping down the lane of the train. Now, why am I being so descriptive? Because it was still wet. It was still fresh, with 2 sleeping bums there at the first stop on the train. Where are the officers? Where is the MTA cleaning staff? Where were all these people at the station? Before they sent that train off and to start in Parkchester, where were all these people to do their job? And this isn't the first day I've seen stuff like that, but this is just recently, the most descriptive one I can give that to really be the example. But you have all these homeless people now. They're not sitting in the subway stations, they're not sitting in the trains. They don't even have the courtesy to take dumps in between the cars anymore. And the police officers that I see standing there, I see 8 to 10 just standing, chilling, talking. Some of them not wearing masks, by the way, on 59th Street and whatnot. Now, there are officers out there that do their jobs, but I'm seeing lazy officers sitting in the train station doing absolutely nothing, and homeless people on the trains. You kicking them out the station and putting them in the shelters does not help anyone if they're getting on the trains and staying there. Get on the train, take them off, and put them in the shelters. What are you getting paid to do? Someone tell me what these guys are getting paid to do. Why is my MTA, why is the cost of me having to go and come from work that isn't tax deductible, right, going to paying for people not to work? This isn't for the NYPD that does their job. This isn't for the transit officers that do their job. But what I'm talking about, all the people that have been around lately doing absolutely nothing. Like when I walk first thing on the train, we lose 6 to 12 seats to homeless people. Why? That is what irks me. Besides the fact that MTA wants to tell us all this health nonsense, right, and we should do this and do that for our health, you can't even provide clean trains despite 20 minutes in between each train. If you're going to tell me you're setting a train every 20 minutes, it's because you're cleaning the cars. Right now, there should be a mass temporary hiring to clean these cars. Mask, no mask, whatever. If you're letting the homeless people on, regardless of everybody else wearing the mask, that stuff that's in the air or on the surfaces is now being put onto the train surfaces. Where are the thorough cleanings of these trains? This is what irks me, because in the end, I still have to get to work each day. So in my bag is my Lysol spray, or whatever other alcohol-based spray I can get, because y'all mofos really be buying stuff in hella bulks. You put out, I swear to God, you put Lysol out on the store, right? Even with 2 per customer, somehow there are 100 customers and all 200 disappear. You're like, what? I bet you like 4 or 5 of them from the same household too. I ain't even mad at you. I get it. Because with these trains like this and you having to go to work, I want my damn Lysol too.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Exactly. So that is what's irking me. MTA, clean the trains. NYPD, get the bums off of them. On that note, we're going to go to our first commercial break. When we come back, what's happening in the news and my views. Hey everybody, I'm Will D.
I am Javier Luis.
I'm Alex Polanco.
I'm Apollonia Cruz.
And I'm Kelly Kaboo.
I am Shirley Phillips.
I am Emmanuel Anzule. Do you know 1 in 4 women will experience domestic violence
During their lifetime.
And domestic violence and abuse can happen to anyone.
regardless of gender, race, or other factors?
2 out of 3 homicide cases are
Females who were killed by a family member or intimate partner.
As domestic violence victims, they face high rates of depression,
Sleep disturbances,
Anxiety.
flashbacks and other emotional distresses.
And without help, witnesses of domestic violence are more vulnerable to become abusers themselves.
Thus continuing the cycle of violence in the next generation.
Hello, I'm Charles Aloma. Join the LDM network and Safe Horizon and take a step into changing these facts. So if you are or know someone that is being abused, please call the City Domestic Hotline at 1-800-621-4673. So that is 1-800-621-HOPE.
speak up.
Speak out.
And make a difference.
And just know that you don't have to deal with this alone. There is help.
All right. So we're going to start off with my boy Trump because, what else is there to do at times than talk about Trump? First thing first, before I have to get to actually defending him, which I sometimes do in jest, but this time I actually am really annoyed about, I'm going to talk about some of the other stuff going on. So first off is that he's suspended immigration, which has half the country very excited. And he said it is to protect American jobs and the spread of this disease. Right, I'm like, people aren't even working right now, but I guess, in all honesty, companies are waiting to rehire employees. Certain people right now have found the opportunity to get jobs. There's certain, security is always hiring, so people have been doing that. Warehouses are understaffed. More restaurants are having employees quit, not even decide because they don't want to risk going outside. They've quit, so they need to be Popeyes down the block from me. Most restaurants that are still active but have Southeast Asian employees are not having enough staff. So the Popeyes by me has a lot of brown people who, if you notice, a lot of the Dunkin' Donuts have shut down and things like, brown-owned businesses. Even the 7-Eleven down the block closed. I don't know if it's a cultural thing or whatnot, but it's a fact. You see this. And these guys are now needing people to work for them because a lot of their employees are not messing with this virus at all. I'm not even mad at them. They're playing it safe. Cool for you. And especially to anyone of any sort of Asian descent, because y'all are getting all the blame for this, whether or not you're Chinese. So stay home and stay safe, not from the virus, but from the people who are dumb as hell. But yeah, so immigration is suspended, and hopefully Americans will be getting those jobs first under Trump's ideology. And if you got a cousin or something that's looking to get into the country, maybe not New York because of the numbers, but instead of them where they come from, they can't do it right now. So wait for that. Another thing that happened with Trump this week, people who are married to immigrants, because all the stuff or whatever, are not getting their stimulus. So essentially, if you are married to an immigrant who does not have their status changed, right? Like you're getting the K-1 visa, and you need to transfer them to the green card, and you don't want to give them the transfer, because you're not sure of how legitimate the marriage is, or whatever the case may be, some 90-day fiancé type of nonsense, you're not getting your stimulus money. Straight up. I know people are complaining because they're saying it's supposed to help citizens pay their bills, but if you're housing someone who is not a citizen, Trump ain't paying your bills because he's not trying to pay theirs. They're not a citizen. So for all the people looking to get that stimulus money, you may need that $1,200 check, you paid your taxes, whatever, yada, yada. Looks like you're going to have to help homeboy or homegirl get their green card regardless of how you feel. It's the 2-year one, not the 10-year one. You're still good. Just get your money. No. At first you have to get a 2-year one before you can apply for the 10-year one. So you see what I'm saying? We're up to the 10. See, I watched my 90 day. I know the law.
We're doing all 10 years.
Oh, of course you are. Now, y'all stuck. You got the little baby and everything. Ria's here. But yeah, so that's just it's an opportunity for some of y'all people who are distrusting and necessary to get these people an honest opportunity in this country. So I'm not even mad at Trump for doing that one because I've watched 90 Day Fiancé and some of them just be grimy to these people, thinking they can own them like a dog. They're a human being. They're an immigrant, but they're a human being. Like, what's wrong with you? But the major news this week about Trump has been the whole Trump told people to inject themselves with Lysol. All right, so look, I know that the Trump administration isn't the best. I love jokingly defending them at times, but this time I have to legitimately and honestly defend Donald Trump on this one. I will agree that some stupid stuff came out of his mouth. What he was asking was a bit asinine, but here's the thing. I just said the word asking. Liberal media, oh God, I really hate having to say this. Liberal media has taken something that was said purely in questioning, right? Not a directive, purely trying to learn. And one of the few times Donald Trump is actually willing to learn, throws it out there, and spun it around as if he was telling people to whatever. Now, here's 2 reasons why I'm upset about this. One, the people who would have the honest idiocy to listen to Donald Trump telling them to inject themselves with Lysol are probably all people we don't want and or need to be around anyway. So don't be mad he said it. Be glad that he's taking away votes from the next election. 2, he didn't tell people to do jack. In all honesty, you watch that clip and really watch that clip. Not the entirety of the conference, but watch the clip that they're even showing, the 30 to 40-second clip. He turns his head, forgetting that there are cameras in front of him, saying something that he should have said in closed doors, basing it off of stuff that scientists have actually said. So he's questioning, trying to figure out what we can do because he wants to help. He's asking if whether or not, essentially, they can take the bleach stuff that he was told kills the virus on surface fastest and put it into a vaccine. He was asking, is there any way that can be done? He was hearing about the heat temperature treatment that has been going on with the different lights, the UV lights and whatever, because as we've all learned over the course of this virus, that heat kills this thing, which makes sense of, your body has a fever to try and kill viruses, and that's normally why you get the temperature when you have the normal flu, let alone corona, that he can kill this thing. So I don't know why you would think you can put lights into your body, but then he mentioned the UV lights, which I don't know why he thinks that sunlight would essentially get into the bloodstream, but whatever. He was pondering thoughts that perhaps should have been said behind closed doors, right? But in all earnest, he admits in the middle of this thing that I'm not a doctor. I'm asking the doctors. And if you see the secondary camera angle, he's literally turning his head to ask 2 doctors, one of whom actually responds to him talking about the heat therapy treatment. So, Donald Trump in no way advised anyone to take Lysol, but if you are honestly feeling like he did and feel that you should follow it, please do, because I can't stand stupid people anyway. Alright? So that's that. God damn. I'm sorry, but what it is for me is that, especially here in New York, people act as if the liberal media is straight facts, right, as we like to say. And it's not. As much as we talk about Fox News spinning stories, and my God, they spin stories. This is evidence of liberal media trying to take something and run with it. Frankly, folks, my advice to you is not to just listen to one side. Listen to both of them, and somewhere in between you'll find actual truth and actual facts about any and every situation, because both sides are trying to convince you that they are right. And frankly, you need to make up your own mind, not just mindlessly follow theirs. So that's why I also wanted to actually talk about this, because this is just proof, like, this is nonsense. You can't tell me one story, play the clip, and then I've seen people edit better videos on TikTok, all right? You guys are a professional company, media company, and y'all can't even edit the video to make it look like you edit it to prove that he's not doing what you're saying he's doing. Like, what's wrong with y'all? That's some sloppy work. Very sloppy. We are Americans. We need to take pride at being a little bit more slick than that. Thank you. Like, god dang. But since we're on the topic of COVID, there is a couple different COVID-related things I did want to talk about. So first, Georgia reopening certain small businesses, right? One of note was that in Atlanta, there was a barbershop that opened that said that he really didn't want to. He made a very select list of clientele that he would open to, but because there was no stopping of rentage, businesses, have to make their money, right? They have to make money to pay the rent, because one thing Trump didn't do was stop people paying rent, probably because he has real estate and wants his money. But regardless of the reason, so people are taking their chances out there. Now, a lot of people online are saying that, they want to reopen the areas where, black people are first to kind of test things out. That's not what happened. Remember, Florida opened its beaches first. That's as redneck as it gets, bruh. All right, so let's not even go there. Let's not do it. You have a better chance saying that, they found out that the numbers spread very quickly when they reopened because of, again, Florida opening up its beaches, and then all of a sudden I think they had like 1,400 new cases. So then they're throwing black people into the water first to try and knock them out because they know they're going to get it. That's a better theory than thinking that they're trying to throw you out there first to test. No, because Florida went first, all right? And you're right next door to them. But I also have to say, why would you do this when even Trump's telling you not to? Like, when the man that dumb is just like, it's still scary, you really need to listen. So good luck to y'all out in Georgia. I understand you small businesses, you have rent to pay, you do need to make money. The worst thing about this virus is that the government really isn't helping out small business in the way that it should. You have people more like Facebook doing stuff like that, and other major corporations trying to help out small business. But if you don't need to open, if you have another month in you to pay off those bills, even though it's cutting into your savings, please do. Not just for the people, but for yourself. Everything that you do right now, you have to consider the selfishness of your health. And in you closing your doors to protect yourself, you'll end up saving some lives. So just consider that, all right? Also, in the UK, they're starting to test out the vaccine for COVID on humans at Oxford University. So good luck to y'all out there. Hopefully the tests prove productive. Here in New York, Governor Cuomo has said starting next week, we're going to be reopening elective surgeries in hospitals because the numbers are starting to drop here. We're not seeing this as much of a spread, although it is about a fourth of the state that has at some point reportedly caught COVID. And last but not least, about this news that was upsetting to me, is that in Arizona, right, a state that most of us don't think about unless the Suns are playing their NBA game, they're actually out there harassing nurses and doctors. These anti-lockdown people literally were going out to hospitals without their mask, of course, to protest and harass hospital workers. Now, I understand them. I understand them going out there doing their protests, no mask on, whatever the case may be. But here's what makes no sense: why harass the hospital workers with COVID or not COVID are going to work there to help people who are sick, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I work in a hospital. I deal with nurses, and there are some times where you have reason to get all up in their face. That's a different story. But in this particular case, the nurses and the doctors aren't the ones making the law saying keep your butt inside, right? They're not the ones saying that. That's your governor. That's your president. You want to harass somebody, go out to D.C. Go out to your capital and yell at the city hall or the mayor's house or whatever that they're at. Why would you go harass the workers who are only there to help people who are sick for various diseases? It's not just a COVID thing. It's not a lockdown thing. People go in there with the cold still. People go in there for aches and pains. People go in there because they think they're appendix bursted, that they have the regular flu, that they might have pneumonia. Various diseases. These guys today, right, during this whole COVID season, are legitimately doing what they do every other day. It's just that now they have to put on a little bit more protective gear. You know, one thing about this whole, doctors and nurses are the heroes of this thing. Look, I understand why people have this perception, and it's great that they do. But the fact of the matter is, the same way that you feel right now is how you need to feel every random Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because this is what they do on a daily basis. This is what they went to school to get trained for. This is what they want to do the same way that you're showing love now, right? You're giving them free stuff. You're giving them masks and supplies and stuff like that. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm not even telling you they don't deserve it. I'm telling you that you need to appreciate these workers for what they do to take care of your sick behind every freaking day. That's all I'm saying. COVID or no COVID, this is what they do. This is what they're trained to do, and this is what they do. There's some that do it because they purely love to help people. There's some that do it just for the money because it's a good paying job. But they do it every day, and they don't deserve to be harassed for going to work. This is their 9 to 5. If you're working at the factory and someone doesn't like the fact that you're getting paid more than the people in Asia who do the same work and start yelling in your face, what does that have to do with you? You want to yell at the people in Asia who control the wage out there. Yell at the company owners who are paying them less to do the work out there that you're doing here in the States. It's the same concept, people. You're stupid. Arizona, anti-lockdown in Arizona. You're stupid. Freaking stupid. But amongst the same COVID thing, although I'm not going to consider this COVID, I'm just going to consider this stupid. In honor of the healthcare workers, the brilliant idea of Mayor Bill de Blasio, failed presidential candidate, is to hold a ticker tape parade in honor of healthcare workers when the COVID crisis is over. So the mayor's brilliant idea here in New York, one of the cities with the largest amount of cases, the largest amount of healthcare workers, respectively. Thanks for all the other states that have been sending your workers to help us out. His brilliant idea is to hold a mass function with all these people to get together, standing, cheering in close vicinities to honor the people for the last few months who've been telling you, stay apart and stay away from me unless necessary. This is brilliant thinking right here. This is brilliant thinking. Let's hold a massive event full of people and dwindling numbers, but not non-existing, to honor the healthcare workers who've literally been saying, we don't need to be next to each other right now. This is brilliant thinking. I thought that this was great news. I feel like we have great leadership here in New York City because Bill de Blasio obviously knows what the hell he's doing. Right? Can't say I said nothing bad. It was all positive. If you realize that I'm speaking my secondary language, like all of us New Yorkers, of sarcasm, you'll understand what I'm truly saying. Now, outside of all of this nonsense, there are some news and entertainment that I want to get to. So first off, for those of you who love Harley Quinn, well, you might be the only ones because DC has moved on to Punchline, the new girlfriend for Joker, who will be making her official appearance in upcoming comics in the Joker Wars. So you might want to take a look. The character design is officially out. I actually think she looks cooler than Harley Quinn. But then again, we all know how original Harley Quinn used to look, and there's a reason why they changed her style. Also, Venom 2 has been given an official name called Let There Be Carnage. Some early theories are saying that it's going to be based off of Absolute Carnage storyline, since it does take place in San Francisco with a large homeless population, and part of that was him converting a large bit of the homeless population into an army. that movie got a title and will be pushed back from later of this year to the spring of 2021. So Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. There are some things already filmed. I'm sure they're doing mostly, last minute scenes and post production. So it'll be pushed back like a lot of other projects, a couple of months. Also, we have that Freddy vs. Jason 2 may be coming into fruition. Wes Craven and his people have been trying to develop a new way to bring back Nightmare on Elm Street. There's some legal issues with the Jason franchise right now that should be wrapping up shortly. And once that's done, the idea is to do a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, a Jason movie, and then one more crossover film. It looks like they will all be in the same timeline, so it'll all be canon for all of us geeks out there who like that sort of thing. So that's in the works right now. And although most of it seems to be rumors, the people who are talking about all this and giving this news are the same people who predicted the projects of they were talking about Han being in Fast 9, and they were confirmed a whole bunch of other things at the time that were all theories. They're like the TMZ of movie news, essentially, right? So this looks like pretty credible information that's being put out there to the web. Also, National Treasure 3, I think, was one of the things that they talked about first, and that's in production. Also, the space station, the International Space Station, will be getting 2 new Americans, supposedly, as of May 27th. It'll be one of the first ships launched out of the U.S. in the last decade. So that should be something that's happening. We'll see how this whole, COVID thing may affect launch dates and stuff like that, but we'll see. Hopefully we get some Americans up there. They've mostly been flying the trips through Russia, I think, the last 10 or so years. So this will be the first one to leave out of the States to the International Space Station. All right, and that is the news. On that note, we will come back with the movies that you should be watching while in quarantine, and of course, our fans of the week.
There is no reason to give this way anymore. Oh, Julia, why did you waste my time in this crazy situation? I gave what you need and all the attention. This could not be love. That's why I'm lingering on the floor. I'm ready to go, but I'm holding back 'cause you're sorry. I'm working hard and just take hold. But you justice going to explode. Oh, Julia, why are you still in my heart? Oh, Julia, I need a refund. There is no reason to live this love anymore. Oh, Julia, there is no reason to live this love anymore. Oh, Julia, it's a positivity, so give me river. Just a little dose, so I never ever kill her. It's a positivity, so give me river. Just a little dose, so I never ever kill her. It's a positivity, so give me river. Just a little dose, so I never ever kill her. It's a positivity, so give me river. Just a little dose, so I never ever kill her.
Alright, so we're back, and we're gonna start with our fans of the week. So, you know, this has been a very on Facebook. I think I've been more active on Facebook this week than usual, and the same on Instagram. I guess I'm finally getting that bit of free time from COVID. So, first is Oscar De La Fuente, who's won this several times before. So shout out to him, and also Thais Jude Brooks. I think that's how you say it. Yeah. Judy. Yeah, there you go. Both of them from Cali, so a lot of West Coast love this past week, which is weird because, you know, the whole New York, California thing, you know. But whatever, I'll take it. Shoot. Shout out to y'all. And then on Instagram, we have a Bufa Ayo, who's still wrestling overseas, so, you know, hopefully you're doing good, bruv. He was actually in China when this whole thing started, so he's seen all of it. And Nessa on Your Neck, who's our second fan. So shout out to the two of them as well. Oh man, no, they do not lie. And it's a good thing that Walpy is not here, because you know how he gets when there's someone attractive on the screen. But then this week, for the picture of the week, I couldn't decide. I was really stuck on both of these, and they both got a bunch of likes. So I think the first one is Trump. No, it's Goku. So yes. So the first one is train like Goku, essentially. He's, you know, Goku will stop you and say, if you spend as much time looking at porn as or training as you do looking at porn, you can be like me. So, you know, if you train instead of look at porn, you can really become Goku. Just remember that, all right? If you want to be Goku, you want instant transmission, you want to go Super Saiyan 2, you got to stop with the porn and start training, all right? Hyperbolic chamber and everything. And the next one is just a really brilliant picture of Trump perfectly looking like Joker, which is ironic because I thought the Joker movie was about how, like, you know, the crazy will end up taking down a government. Although I guess that is exactly fitting, although considering his crazy in the government definitely makes us want to rebel. So, you know, it works on multiple levels. It works on multiple levels. But yeah, so Trump Joker, I feel like a lot of people will enjoy that. But time for the movies. I watched a bunch of movies, a bunch of shows. Wanted to give you a bunch of different selections. So, first is a movie called Away with the Gods. It's a Chinese joint, or no, Korean. It's a Korean movie where a guy who was a firefighter dies saving someone in a fire and is now being judged in the afterlife for any sins to see if he can be reincarnated or reach heaven, right? It's a movie that had a lot of buzz a little while back, and it's on Hulu now. I was excited to watch it because I remember when it was coming to the States, and we had it at certain indie theaters. I just never got around to actually getting the chance to see it, so I was like, yeah, I can finally watch this movie. And I'm glad that I watched it for free on Hulu, because like most Asian films, it can take a while to get anywhere good. So it started off very entertaining and very whatever, but the point of it kind of got confusing really quick. And then a lot of the back and forth, like it seemed, as the story progressed, it seemed less about the character you're introduced to, more about the gods that are helping him out, and then an entirely different story about his brother. And you're just like, where does the brother even factor into this sense? So it doesn't hold together the entire way through. Now, some of the visuals are cool. I feel like a lot of the CGI worked relatively well for an Asian film. It wouldn't be up to American standards. But I gotta give this movie a 3 out of 5 because it just literally, story-wise, it falls apart. And one thing that, you know, a lot of Americans, especially will talk a little about Asian projects, is the storyline. And when that's what I'm watching this for and it falls apart, yeah, no. Just no. Like, I didn't watch this because I thought it'd be like, you know, Jin Mori fighting gods. No, I watched this because I heard that this was a dope story being told, and it just was really, really confusing. Then, another Korean film that I watched was the Academy Award-winning Parasite. Finally watched it in all of its entirety, and I still feel like my boy Tarantino should have won Best Director. Alright. The story here holds through. It's just a very odd story of family. Turns into a weird murder thing by the end of it. It's just that how we get there made sense. So not exactly from start to finish what I was expecting, but it's not that I don't like a movie that isn't what I, with a surprise. It's just that the progression to it comes out of nowhere, but it makes sense in its own weird way. It's not exactly like complete logical, but if you're watching, you're like, oh yeah, I can grasp why and how this is all happening. That's all we want. It's just that literally Tarantino made a better movie. I give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. I'm going to do that because I think you should see it because it was the Academy Award winning movie. I think that it can be enjoyable for many. I just don't think that it's going to be everybody's cup of tea. But it's worth a watch. It really is. It's not a bad movie at all. And especially by the end of it, the oh snap will definitely be worth it. It definitely has a good build up to that. It's also on Hulu right now, so check that out. Hulu also has a movie called The Oath, which is with Tiffany Haddish and Ike Barinholtz, who used to be on Mad TV. His brother, who was currently on Community, also stars in this movie. Not Community, Superstore. Is also in this movie. I honestly didn't realize they were brothers. I thought it was just him shaved all these years. Superstore. I was like, oh, because they literally look alike. Like, they look exactly alike. I think he might be an inch or two taller, and if you don't see them side by side, you'd never know. So, yeah. So Ike and Ian Barinholtz and Tiffany Haddish. And essentially, it's the government is trying to make people sign an oath to declare their loyalty to the American government, and if you're not someone who signs the oath, you're being ostracized by society. The older brother, Barinholtz, his character is a very strong, adamant liberal, talking about how the government can't take away his right by making him sign this thing. Ironically, it's a very similar argument to what most rednecks would say about most things the government doing right now. And Tiffany Haddish is, his wife and backing him throughout his whole, total I'm an elitist a-hole thing. And then it turns into this whole back and forth about that and political commentary into this weird case where a bunch of cops come to try and arrest them for not signing, and they accidentally almost kill one of them and have to try to figure out what to do with the bodies. Although I said that, I've actually not ruined anything about the movie for you, and you'll see that when you watch it. I will also give this a 3.5 out of 5 because, again, it does take a while to get to the point to the movie, but it is a very funny route, and I feel you would enjoy it. And I feel like by default, with Tiffany Haddish in it, black people will watch it. So, 3.5 out of 5. Next, Netflix has been talking for weeks, emails and trailers and this and that about this one particular movie, which I really did not want to like, and turned out I enjoyed because it all really does come together by the end. And it's Extraction. And Extraction is the story of a mercenary sent into India to bring out the son of a gang leader from being captive and bring him back to Bangladesh. Chris Hemsworth actually did a really good job. Not to say that this is going to be any emotional roller coaster, but it does a solid job where you believe him as a soldier. You believe that him and the boy actually do kind of build a bond. And it explains why he kind of caved in on his normal personality for a child. By the end of the movie, it all just kind of comes together. His supporting actress was hot as hell. The action sequences were very good fight choreography. Honestly, the bad guys, there was actually a really good story told amongst them and the rising of a new gang leader as well, being told during this whole process. The only thing about this movie that I will say is that it does take a little while. Again, it was a little slow. But once this movie gets going, it truly gets going. And before anyone is surprised, the movie does not start off with English. It doesn't. I know when I first started watching the movie, I was like, wait, why subtitles again? But I'm like, you told me this is Chris Hemsworth. This is not Nordic. This is supposed to be English. No, it starts off in Bengali, I think, either Bengali or Hindi. So you're not shocked. Yes, the movie starts off that way, but it does switch into English. It is not a fully subbed movie. It is a dubbed movie, and they sub out the parts that aren't done in English. And half the time, the Indian characters do speak English as well. So, you're not stuck, for people who don't like subtitles, you can watch it too. I give this movie 4 out of 5. Literally just because it was a slow start. The one thing about this is that it's not that this took a while to get to the point. We kind of always knew what the point was from the beginning of it. It's just that it takes a while for you to kind of get involved in the movie, to really feel the movie. So 4 out of 5. A children's movie also on Netflix is The Willoughbys. And it's the story of a really dysfunctional family, and it's not meant to be quite the feel-good movie, but by the end of it, I think there's some good laughs and whatever. I think it's a good family movie. It's not for everybody. I don't think as an adult who likes to feel like a kid again, this is a movie for you. This is just, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It's something definitely just for the family to watch with parents, with your kids. And your kids can watch it by themselves too. It's not that you need to be there. I just don't think that this is something that people like me, like the adults who just watch animation, you skip it. Just skip it, bro. Netflix, along the same lines, did an animation of Ghost in the Shell with the weird CGI thing, the SAC 2045. Honestly, the animation style does not fit Ghost in the Shell at all. And one thing that made Ghost in the Shell so awesome was the hand-drawn style that made it feel very seinen, very adult, for those of you who don't understand the language. And really on display the universe in that unique style, that cyberpunkish style. I think even the movie did a good job in the animation of that world and the CGI of that world. But this right here on Netflix, screw the story, screw the action, screw everything. I was visually bothered trying to get through the series the entire way through it. Never could adjust to it. Not to say, you watch Kengan Ashura in the CGI style, you can adjust to it. You watch Berserk in the CGI style, it doesn't bother you after a while. It grows on you. Not to say you like it, because also the story in that one sucked, but you can get through it. This, the entire time, from start to finish, I wanted to just destroy Netflix for doing this. I'm giving it a 1 out of 5, and the reason why I'm giving it a 1 out of 5 is that it's still Ghost in the Shell. The action sequences, like the actual choreography, is good. I didn't feel right giving it a complete utter 0, but honestly, I think even the top tier otaku are going to be like, I can't get through this bullcrap. Because I barely got... If it wasn't for the fact that I was reviewing this for you so you wouldn't have to watch it, I wouldn't have finished it. I would have watched one episode and been like, nope, never again. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. Definitely. That's off my list. I don't even... If they drop a season 2 or whatever, I don't care. It's not happening. I'm just done. I got through it for you just to tell you. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Then, I think what killed me the most, out of all the things on Netflix recently, they tried to do their own version of Love Island, and they completely butchered it by making this not a month, but 2 weeks, so then the introduction of characters made little to no sense at all. In a series called Too Hot to Handle. Now, the original premise of this that was actually amusing was the fact that they got all these hot people with very high sex drives, gave them 12 hours to do whatever they wanted, and then afterwards said, alright, now you can't have any sexual contact of any sort with other people or yourself until the end of the retreat. So these guys were just like, alright, so I can't kiss a girl, we can't touch nom-noms, whatever, but you tell me I can't even touch myself? Oh my god. Like, I think it got to the point where they were all talking about having sex with walls. Right? To which the commentator was just like, how sexy are these walls? Like, you know what I'm saying? So, that bit runs out very early. There's a character or two from the original cast who just, you never really get a chance to know her. I believe it's the girl from Ireland. You never really get a chance to know her because no one's ever really interested in her, and she doesn't get in any drama. So it makes no sense why she's even there after a while. And I feel like that's something that happened with a bunch of these people. By the ending of it, what you expect to happen from the beginning happens. There wasn't enough time in this place for these people to actually develop the drama necessary for this to be very entertaining. Conceptually, what was cool was that they had every or most of the English-speaking countries, Canada, Ireland, Australia, the US, the UK, all a part of this, right? So when you do this, there are various accents, this, and the third, and I think that conceptually is really cool. I think it makes the show a little bit unrealistic because how likely is someone from Australia, even if on this island they develop a relationship, how often are they going to decide to date someone from the United States? You know, distance alone. Just even if you plan to see each other once a month, between the lifestyles of an American from California and an Aussie, there's infidelity is a given, right? So it doesn't make much sense. You know, the same. I mean, even the U.S. to Canada, right next door, doesn't make much sense. Ireland to UK doesn't make much sense. So, although conceptually I love it, the reality of it is that you know the relationship is going to be short term for the show. And as long as everyone's okay with that, I can deal with it. But you need to give it, like Love Island, a full month with something new being added every other day and a constant influx of people coming in and out. They try to add characters later in the series, and it just didn't, like, they seemed pointless after about 20 minutes. And I think they realized that, unfortunately, in the rest of the show. So by the end of it, the cast is not completely different, which is weird compared to all the other dating shows that we watch where we see people come and go and you're just like, which original is left by the end? So yeah, I gotta give it a 3 out of 5. It was mildly entertaining. There was a lot of potential in developing this show, and I see that. I don't know if it was done the way it was because they didn't know how it would be received. But frankly, I see this as something for Love Island to say, hey, we need to do a crossover of every country. And that's all that needs to come from this show, not a season 2. Love Island needs to make this proper, right? Then there was a show called The Untamed. Really really bland Korean series that just, yeah, I give it a 2 out of 5. Like two brothers fighting mystical creatures, but it's in a K-drama style, so it's like really over the top dramatic with characters who can't show emotion, and the fighting is kind of meh. Like wannabe Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. 2 out of 5. Just can't do that. 2 out of 5. Then one series that I had to watch because I've recently been seeing a lot of posts about it was Gundam Iron Blooded Orphans. I'm not the hugest Gundam fan, especially after the whole SD Gundam fiasco, where they were mini chibi robots fighting, and I was just like, what the hell is this bullcrap? And I'm not a huge mech person, but I mean, anyone my generation, whether you're otaku or not, grew up on Gundam Seed. So when you hear the name Gundam thrown around again, right, and everyone's talking about it, be it good, be it bad, it does raise curiosity. So I watched this series, and one thing that I watched it for was that someone told me that it's one of the few animes where the bad guy wins. But as I watched this series, I realized that who we're perceiving as the bad guy really isn't the bad guy. And even though I'm caring for the characters, you have to realize that everyone you're rooting for is essentially a criminal. This is a really interesting story about freeing a colony from its imperial ruler, and all the people who are a part of trying to do that, and all the people who are trying to find purpose through doing that. The people who are in the colony, most of them are poor, most of them are orphaned, thus the name. And they build an organization to try and at least provide money for those of them who have family, brothers, and sisters who they just need to support. Willing to throw lives on the line to give their siblings a chance at a brighter future. All of themselves are no older than 15. A lot of stuff is talked about in this. It really feels like Colony Mars could be an African nation in a lot of aspects, and it's really good storytelling. The action sequences progressively get better throughout the 2 seasons. I gotta give this a 4 out of 5, and I feel like that's phenomenal, all due considering I really have no interest in mech series, and Gundams can be very convoluted, but this story right here was really good. So for all of you who watch anime, for those of you who don't, this is a series to definitely check out. Mortal Kombat also released a new movie, Mortal Kombat Legends: Scorpion's Revenge. I thought this was a very interesting retake on Mortal Kombat, especially in a time where Mortal Kombat, I think, is one of the top trending movies. The original Mortal Kombat, one of the top trending movies on Netflix right now. And this animation was really good. I hope you can see some of the clips online. I know Facebook started getting a bunch of them, and Instagram. This is definitely a series to catch. It's 4 out of 5 series. And I love the way that it's about Scorpion, and he does end up being a very major character, but they still found a way to bring it back to the original tournament, and it looks like it's the beginning of a new series. So it'll probably be Mortal Kombat Legends, and then the next one will be about a different character. This is great. The fighting sequences in this thing were amazing, and for the first time ever, I think I might have actually liked Sonya Blade. Ever. Like, I played all the games. This is the first time I actually liked her in this series, because when you actually try and use her, fighting with her is terrible. Garbage. Don't. Never. There's no need. Garbage. Her daughter is useful. Yeah. Game over. Also, if you're looking for a horror movie, you can skip the Vatican Tapes. That's a 2.5 out of 5, and I'm literally doing that just because the cast was good. This is just a really slow movie all the way through. The cast was really good, and it was just kind of like, wow, with these people, you made this crappy movie? I'd rather watch La Noronha all over again, whatever that movie was. This was garbage. Then, last but not least, I think there's a movie that a lot of people need to watch right now. Or not a movie, but a series. The series is called The Midnight Gospel. And this particular series just came out on Netflix, but I feel like it's something that a lot of people from a lot of different places, and especially right now during this COVID thing where a lot of people are losing relatives and loved ones, I feel like this is a show that you all need to watch. It's a show where it's based off of a podcast that a gentleman had, and they added some really interesting animations to, I guess, help in conceptualizing some of the points, but also just to kind of draw your interest and make it the conversations they're talking about just a little bit easier to get through. The story of the main character is that he's doing a space podcast show, and he uses this device to go to the various different worlds and meet people to discuss different or deep conversations while having crazy adventures. It starts off with like a zombie apocalypse planet, and they're conceptualizing the whole idea of what death is and how it's affecting and things like that. But the whole show turned into a conversation about the meaning of life, what happens after, what is death, what is even magic and spirits and stuff like that. And what makes this so interesting is not just the topics, right? Because if you really listen, like listening to that first episode and watching that first episode, it's, essentially sound like two white people from Brooklyn at a coffee shop that you would probably really enjoy listening to. And what really drives it is the animation that makes some of the points funny. Like in the middle of the conversation, they're like, "Oh, watch out for the zombie," things like that. So that's how I got through that first one. But really listening, like actually listening and paying attention and being present in the moment and focusing on what's being said. The conversations that they're having are very difficult conversations that most people don't like to have. They don't like to talk about. They don't like to think about. There's even an episode explaining why we don't even like to think about certain things and why, certain stuff, like how even death became a business in America. The fact of the matter is this. While we're all losing a bunch of people, I know there's a lot of sadness going on, and I know that a lot of people, like, they don't know what to do. People are losing their fathers, head of households, mothers, grandparents, and it's a rough time. But I feel like it's rough for most people because of how death is perceived. And what this show does for a lot of people, because I've been talking to my friends about it for days, and they're all, giving me feedback and such, is that it allows them to think about death differently. Where my family comes from, death isn't necessarily just sad. In certain parts, they believe that it's, the ancestors still watch over you, right? When you die, you join them. Right, you're never really gone. You're always a part of this world and the next. It's a serious time. It's a time to celebrate one's life while they were here. Me personally, death is maybe the end of the book written here. Right, we can now say where your life started and where your life ended, but your meaning to me doesn't change. Right. There's a great point at this where the mother of the main character is explaining how there's going to be a point where she dies, but one thing that stays is the love, right? So for all you guys who are going through rough times right now, you've lost a friend, you've lost a family member, you've lost a pet, and that one stings more than a lot of people even realize. It's the end of making future memories, right? That's all it is. But every moment, every reason that you think of someone positively in fun light and things like that, it'll make you sad that you won't see them again. But realize that their meaning to you doesn't change. You'll always have them in the same regards that you always did, right? A lot of people find that some of the words their parents said to them don't hit until they die, right? Now those sayings that you glossed over hold meaning now. They're still teaching you. It's just sometimes you have to look back for it to be relevant. So this show may help you conceptualize death in a way that can help you cope with your current situations. And I hope that you can find just a little bit of comfort in your current situation after watching this. And I feel it's something that a lot of people may not want right now, but you need to watch The Midnight Gospel. I think it was a brilliant show. There are tons of moments of levity in these deep conversations, but some of the points that it brings up, some of the things that it teaches and talks about, I feel a lot of people in not just this world, but this country, but across the world really need right now. So please give this show a shot, and I really hope that it does help a lot of people who are feeling some type of way right now. All right. On that note, this has been another episode of Will's Review, and I'll catch you guys next time.